Well, first of all, I'm going to brag about my previous career because I'm sitting right next to Megan, who is one of my former students. I thought she did pretty damn well today. I don't know why you think. So, it's all because of me, by the way. Also, Kim is the mother of one of my former students, Josh Carpenter. So it's like old home here today in there. No, as said earlier, I've been in my city for 58 of my 64 years, and I'm very proud of it in there. And I wanted to come up and give you a chance today to talk about the fact that the city of Lawrence, which most people have trouble understanding what Lawrence is. Well, to give you a little bit of an idea, Indianapolis is our suburb. I get to see Mayor Joe often throughout the year, and I must tell you, it's been a pleasure serving alongside him in my city as a saluted city out there. A couple of highlights of what's happened here in the city in the last 3.5 years. I took over a bit of a mess, as many of you probably already know. I'm very proud of where we've gotten to. As of this December, we will have quadrupled our operating reserve. That's $7.1 million operating reserve. That's a big deal for us. And why is that the case? What it allows us to do for the first time in many years is to begin to take that money and reinvest it in the city of Lawrence. Lawrence is a city that was an older city back in the mid-70s. We expanded and grew. We built a lot of new homes in Lawrence. Because of that, we were tested. We have our own water utility, our own sewer utility. We went through a period in which we did nothing in terms of rate for our water utility. I'm happy to say that with the recent increase, we are now able to say that our utility is in extremely good shape. Just last week, we learned that we received our 5th upgrade with S&P just the last 2 years. What does that mean? That means that we can take $350 million, $3.5 million, and reinvest that directly into our utility to help with additional infrastructure. Because of the condition that our budget is in this year, I'm very proud to be able to say that we're going to be able to give our city employees a 5% raise and our public safety a 6% raise. That's a bigger raise than they've ever received in their lifetime. As many of you know, and I'm going to repeat this because you need to hear this, as the mayor of the city of Lawrence, I understand that I have to get to 2 different groups of people to make sure that my city is perceived the way I want it to be perceived. The first thing is I need to partnership with my schools. I come from a school background. That was easy to do. The second part of that is realizing how important you are to selling my city. Some of you may have seen articles in the last couple of days from Chamber of Commerce, Indy and Lawrence Chamber of Commerce about getting an identity. Well, guess who gives us that identity? It's you all out there. So it's incredibly important to me that you perceive my city the way it should be perceived and give us that identity out there. So thank you for what you're doing in there. Just so you know, we have about 600 homes going up in the next 3 years in the city of Lawrence as a part of the Arbor development. I also will tell you that as a part of our downtown, cityscape apartments will be going up. Those will be 250 higher end apartments on the Fort Harrison downtown part of my city. David Weekly Homes will finish up their 3rd phase this year. Those homes started out selling at $225,000. Right now, you can't touch them for less than $300,000. That's because of you people out there selling my city. So thank you for that in there. A couple of other things. We're in the middle of paving season. Anybody gotten held up by paving projects in the last years? I'll tell you what, as Mayor Hawk said, you'll verify this, we get screamed out during the spring for potholes, and then in the fall, as paving projects, we get screamed at again. So hopefully next spring, Mayor Joe and myself will get a little bit less screaming at us with all the paving we're doing. $6 million by the end of this year we'll have done in paving, and we needed it. We've had Mission Mechanical, Meyer Plastics, Friedrich Refrigeration, Edwards have all moved into the city of Lawrence. I'm very proud of that. Those are companies that are coming in with jobs paying $60,000 to $75,000 a year. What's that mean to you people? It means they're going to be looking for houses pretty quickly out there. So get ready for that. Our parks, of course I'm proud of our parks. Not only the 11 parks that we have in the city of Lawrence that we have expanded, we spent more on those the last 3 years, but also Fort Harrison State Park, which is right in the center of our city. I believe we have the only city in Indiana in which we completely surround a state park. We are now in process of building trails so that you can walk from any part of our city into Fort Harrison, because that's kind of our jewel. If you haven't played golf there, I recommend you play golf. It's one of the few golf courses you can play in and not be hitting houses with your drives like I do most of the time in there. A couple of events that we're starting up there. I really wanted to set about bringing people to the city of Lawrence and staying for the entire day or staying for a while. So we've created several different festivals. We have our Fourth Fest. Mayor Hogsett and I get to march in that parade every year. We're the only parade in Marion County on July 4th out there. Fort Bend Farmers Markets. We have our Loggers in Lawrence coming up here. Everybody's got their own kind of craft beer festival. We have ours in Lawrence. It was amazing. We predicted about 150 people. We had 400 people show up. We've got to bring in more food trucks this year, by the way, for that. Got Community Safety Day, winging it. I'll tell you this. How many of you have seen Live PD on A&E? Anybody a fan of that? Just so you know, it's the #1 rated cable show out there. Lawrence has been on Live PD for the last 4 months. One of our officers, Charlie Kingery, participated in what's called the Get Up Dance. Anybody know what that is? The Get Up Dance? And it was a nationwide competition among police departments, and Charlie ended up winning the dance, winning it. After the first weekend of being on Live PD, he received 1,700 proposals on Twitter. By the way, he's married with 2 children, okay? So, but at any rate, by the end of that second week, I should say, he had over 2.7 million views on YouTube. So things like that begin to communicate what your city is and what it means. You can't predict that, but you can say if my police force, which I'm obviously very proud of, has exhibited such a great deal of mutual respect for our citizens, but also the whole idea of bringing our body cameras in the city of Lawrence, in which people have been able to trust us more, the community outreach we talked about, that Mayor Disman talked about, reaching out to our Latino communities, all those things just help to build trust among our public safety, and I'm very proud of what they've done in there. We'll finish up with the logger at the Christmas parade in Lawrence, and after Thanksgiving, our tree lighting ceremony. I think most of you probably heard about this, but we're about to open up and begin this year. We received a $6 million grant from the Lilly Endowment for our cultural campus. We already have a thriving arts program in Lawrence right now that'll grow even bigger in the next 3 years when phases 2, 3, and 4 start in there. We'll build a new fire station starting in the spring. We'll build a new operations building. We will have replaced every piece of equipment in our fire department by the end of this year. We're on a 5-year turnaround for our police vehicles. We've bought new vehicles for our DPW and our utilities. All these things happen because of just kind of a fiscal management and so on, and being lucky in there. But what I'll tell you this, and what I'm most proud of right here shortly, are 2 things that are about to happen. We're about to open the Rich Hart Water Treatment Plant. Lawrence gets all of our water from beneath the ground. Okay, ours are all wells, so droughts don't bother us at all. We'll open up a plant that will be able to provide water for every one of our citizens on just the one plant. That's one of 3. And the second thing is that I'm proud to say that in about a month, we'll be opening up the first ever standalone police headquarters in the city of Lawrence. So we're on the way up. We're not turning back. Thank you.